Welcome to the Tuesday, March 1st, 2016 meeting of the Hot Springs Board of Directors. Tonight, our invocation will be led by Pastor Mike Smith, to be followed by the Pledge of Allegiance. Would you please stand with me?
All right, let's pray together. Father in heaven, we're thankful for life. Lord, we're thankful for the privilege that we have tonight, the freedom that we have in our country to come and to discuss the affairs of our town, our city. Lord, in places all over America tonight, folks are casting votes for values. They're casting votes for change in America. And Father, we're thankful for this privilege. We're thankful, Lord, that, Lord, you hold the king's heart in your hand and you turn it whithersoever you will. And so, Father, tonight, Lord, I want to lift up every member of the board here. Lord, I thank you, Lord, for their individual lives. And Lord, tonight I pray that you would be with them. And Lord, as they represent different parts of this town, different parts of Hot Spring, I pray, God, that you'd give them insight. I pray that you would give them discernment. I pray that you'd give them wisdom, Lord, as they make decisions that, Lord, ultimately reflect on this city. And we thank you for Hot Springs, and we thank you for your presence. And Lord, tonight I want to lift up those who have gone through hard times and, Lord, valley situations. Lord, you're so gracious to sustain us in those times when we don't know what to do. God, I'm so thankful that you're there. And so tonight, Lord, I pray for each one of the board members. I pray that you would sustain them. I pray to keep them safe. And Lord, as we've prayed, and we just pray that you'd give them wisdom in all the decisions that they make. And Father, we tell you tonight that we love you because, Lord, you're our Savior. And God, we love you. So thank you so much. We ask that you be with those folks who will be standing behind this podium tonight to share their passion, to share their concerns. And Lord, I'm thankful. And now, Lord, as we continue to just go on with this meeting tonight, we ask that you'd be honored. And Lord, we ask all these petitions in your precious name, the name of Jesus Christ. Amen.
Amen. Pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
I hereby call this meeting to order. Would you please call the roll?
Davidson.
Which here?
Jones.
Here.
Clark.
Here.
Williams.
Thank you.
Williams.
Oh, here.
Grammy.
Here.
Foley.
Here.
Carney.
Here. Okay. The first item of business is the approval of the agenda. Directors, are there any corrections, additions, deletions, or modifications to the agenda, including items, if any, to be removed from the consent agenda? Okay, hearing none, would you, I need a motion to accept the agenda as presented.
Mayor, so move.
All in favor, please indicate by saying aye.
Aye.
All opposed, please indicate by saying no. Motion is adopted. The next item of business is to consider the approval of the board meeting, regular meeting held on February 16th. Are there any corrections, additions, deletions, or modifications to the minutes? Hearing none, I would receive a motion to accept.
I move that we adopt the minutes. Second.
Okay, all in favor of the motion, please indicate by saying aye.
Aye.
Any opposed, please indicate by saying no. Okay, the motion is adopted. In the effort to afford everyone an equal and orderly opportunity to address the items on tonight's agenda, I want to remind our citizens and our guests that we adhere to a 3-minute limit on your comments. And for your convenience, we will display a clock timer in the monitors above. And out of respect for all of us, we ask that you would please honor this request. While members of the board may have questions of the speakers, I ask that any general comments be reserved for the board discussion after all the speakers have been heard. As a reminder, would everyone please speak into the microphone so that everyone can be heard by those attending or viewing in the meeting on television. We also ask that all cell phones be silenced during the meeting, and please refrain from any disruptions. And should you need to leave before the meeting is adjourned, after your item is taken care of, we ask that you do so quietly so that we can continue the business of our city. At this time, I don't think we have any designated guests, but all of you are our guests, and we thank you so much. You have someone here?
Yes, her
Okay.
name's Dorothy Thompson.
Okay.
And I'd like for her to introduce herself to everybody. Come up to the mic, please.
Okay.
She's a student, and she's doing some work on us.
My name is Dorothy Thompson.
Pull the mic down, baby.
My name is Dorothy Thompson. I'm a student at NPC. This is my last semester, and I'm here to interview an elected official for local and state government.
Oh, wow. Okay. Good to have you here.
Thank you.
Thanks for coming.
Wonder who
That's-
she'll interview.
Yeah, that's
I wouldn't believe a word she says.
thank you so much. That's a dangerous class to take. That's the one I took just before I ran for mayor.
And
So
I might add
we
that
might see you here one day.
I might add, Mayor, that I taught that class for some 18 years. I didn't have you as a student because by that time they were off in a day class.
Yeah.
And I used to require my students to attend a meeting of a local governing body and do a
Yeah.
report.
He
That's,
interviews
that's what gets you in
And
trouble.
maybe where that got started.
Okay. And we do want to thank all of you for coming. Every one of you are our special guests, and thank you for being here. Do we have any announcements concerning upcoming events?
I do.
Ma'am, tell us.
Tonight must be my night.
It is.
On the 12th of this month, we will have a birthday party for Beatrice Crossland. She will be 100 years old on the 9th of this month. So there will be an open party at Webb Center, which will start at 12 noon, and anybody and everybody is invited. No presents, no nothing. She says she's have everything that she's ever needed. And living to be 100, you would have everything
Yeah.
that you've ever needed.
Nice collection there.
Yes, but I mean, a little card would be nice. But don't forget, on the 12th, that's next Saturday week from the 5th, it will be her party, and her birthday is on the 9th. Thank you, Mayor.
At Webb.
Webb
Community-
Center, yes.
All right. Any other announcements?
I do.
Yes, ma'am.
The Park Avenue Community Association's monthly meeting will be on Monday, the 21st. They're always the third Mondays at 6 p.m. And it has a new location, the basement of Pullman Heights Baptist Church off Park Avenue.
Okay.
Thank you.
I got another one.
Oh, wait just a minute. We'll take
Go for
turns
it.
here.
Go ahead.
You want her
Oh,
to go?
it's
Okay.
not long.
Go ahead.
Okay.
Mine is.
At Webb Center at 12 noon on Saturday is the Pleasant Street, which is Gateway Community now. We'll have our monthly meeting. Thank you, Mayor. Thank you, Randy.
Thank you, Mayor. I just have several announcements. One of them is last evening, 5 of us attended a specially called meeting by the Garland County Quorum Court Public Health and Welfare Committee to discuss a resolution regarding the public voting on future infrastructure for around Garland County, including within Hot Springs. Judge Davis sent out a special invitation to all of us. He wanted to make sure that we all had some intimate knowledge of what was being proposed. It was a good meeting. Justice Griffin did a nice job of seeking input from the community. Had lots of commentary, lots of positive commentary. Quite frankly, I'm excited about this proposal. I think it's going to be good for Garland County and good for Hot Springs and a way we can work together. Obviously, there are some details to be worked out as far as interlocal agreements with council for the city, but I would encourage everybody in the community to attend. The next meeting is going to be the Finance Committee meeting, and I think it's on March 15th. If I'm not correct on that, I apologize. But if you go to the Garland County website, you can get more information on that. But it's going through a deliberative process. But everybody in this community is going to have an opportunity to help Hot Springs, downtown area, first of all, with some bypass traffic. We'll get some bypass improvements done. There are a lot of roads that need work here. So I would encourage all of the public to get engaged in this process. It's going to be a big deal. The second thing I wanted to talk about was the St. Patrick's Day Parade coming up on the 17th. I don't remember what year it is, the 13th?
Yes.
The first ever 13th annual St. Patrick's Day Parade. And there's going to be 30,009 participants in that, which is 5 more than last year. 4 of whom are cheerleaders from the Dallas Cowboys, so we've got an improvement of 1. The other one that I wanted to announce, since this piqued my interest because I don't know anything about these, but I understand that the millennials know a lot about this. We're going to have a first celebration of Buffalo Days. Visit Hot Springs is going to sponsor that. Starting April 22nd, and it is going to start out with a concert by Bobby Bones and the Raging Idiots. Apparently this guy is well known, and so I would encourage our community to get involved. This is going to be a fun event. All the pictures that you've seen of the buffalo have been on my front lawn, just for your information. And so I have a special interest in making sure that this is successful.
But
Thank you,
they
Mayor.
used to live in my backyard.
I know.
Now they're all dead.
You sent them over my way.
I let them out.
Bobby Bones is a native of Garland County, by the way.
Is
That's
he?
right, from Mountain Pine.
Oh,
Bones.
okay.
Okay, is he a
Beg your
friend of
pardon.
yours?
Thank you,
Bobby.
Brian.
No, I don't even get to call in on his show. But
Oh, wow. Okay. All right.
Band of Idiots, was he referring to?
I thought the Raging Idiots.
Raging Idiots.
Raging
yeah.
Idiots is a great name with special guests Uncle Cracker, Lauren Elena, Mo Pitney, and Barrett Baber.
Good lineup.
Sounds
Got
like some
me.
of the best
Yeah.
music in town. Yes.
Voice guy.
Okay. All right. Coming up this Thursday at 11:30, all of the entities, all of them that do great, awesome things, meet with Project Hope, and that's Thursday at 11:30 in the gym at First Church of the Nazarene. And it has a lot of good information of what's going on in our city. This week, Friday at 9 o'clock, we have a Bridges Out of Poverty committee on housing. And if you're really a strategic person on affordable housing, we would love for you to come to that meeting. It's a one-time meeting that we're going to put a lot of people around the table. So we have the city talk with Kathy. She's sending someone there for us to find properties, available houses or lots. And then we have the Habitat for Humanity will be there, and several other entities that deal with housing. So we're not trying to reinvent a wheel to find affordable housing. We're trying to find out what the resources are that we have here. And especially if you own an apartment building or rental houses, we'd love for you to come so that we can kind of see what's available for the Bridges program at the community. Oh, they changed the name. CCMC, it's still that. So that's on Friday at 9 o'clock at Trademark Realty. The Human Trafficking Task Force that meets monthly will be here next Tuesday at 1 o'clock in this room. And that's going really, really great. Last week there was a 2-day training at Community Counseling Center, and we're having a lot of the right people around the tables for that. We have the sheriffs, the fire, the police, the prosecuting attorney, a lot of strategic people that are right there on the grassroots. I guess maybe you saw it in the news where 2 men were arrested this week for human trafficking in Little Rock. Well, that's not just Little Rock. They probably were here before they went there. Who knows? But we need to really lift the shades, turn the light on what's happening so that people will know, because there's one little video in plain sight. And the thing is, it is in plain sight, and a lot of people don't know what they see. They don't know what they see when they're seeing it. So to identify that need, we need really informed community so that we can work together. And we have a possibility of buying or getting somehow transitional housing for the girls that go through a year's program of restructuring their lives, and we have some that are graduating from that program, and we will need transitional housing so that they can learn how to get back into society and have a trade and go to work and have a place to live. So those are some really important things for our community to help us raise the level of the poverty that we have here and the needs that we have that are all around us. So hope y'all can be involved in that. Okay, any other announcements?
Mayor,
Yes.
since everybody else is getting one in, and I was going to do mine at the end of the meeting.
Oh, this is upcoming events.
Well, this is an upcoming event.
Okay, good.
The Hot Springs Trojans, the boys basketball team, they begin their march, hopefully, to a 5A state title. They play tonight at 8:30 at the Bank of Ozarks Arena. They'll be playing Greene County Tech.
Okay.
And if they are successful, they will be the new 5A state champions.
Okay. And since it is an upcoming event because it just started tonight, the Arkansas Head Start Institute from all over the state is right across the street. And I just, with Senator Clark, just greeted their convention, and it's the a little 5-year-old girl from the King Head Start, UAMS Head Start, gave me a picture and art. And so it's really a neat program. They've got a lot of stuff set up over there if you're interested in kids and early childhood education. They've got a great conference going on right now, and that's all week, I think, until like Thursday. So, all right. Anything else? Any upcoming events? The next item on our agenda is the Board of it's the city manager's report, and that is you tonight.
Thank you, Mayor. I'll fill in for Mr. Bill Burrow. He is actually in Washington, D.C. With the ORVA delegation. That's the Ouachita River Valley Association. They deal with several of our water interests. So he's meeting there with the Army Corps of Engineers, the civilian level, but also with the federal delegation. So I'm sure when he returns, he'll give a full report of his travels. But kind of moving into some of the things that Director Foley was referencing, our March is obviously a busy month, and we did close out 2015 on upward tick with our sales tax returns. The returns came in as compared to 2014 just under 5.5%. December came in at 8.2% above 2014 figures. So obviously, with March comes basketball. We also have the high school finals coming in the March 10th through the 12th. So you'll get the opportunity to see some more young folks, men and women, playing in the state finals, and also St. Patrick's Day. With March and April, the time comes for the daylight savings time. So our Hot Springs Fire Department with Red Cross have teamed up to provide and install smoke alarms, smoke detectors, and that's coming up this weekend, March 4th and 5th, and the following weekend, March the 11th and 12th. If you know of anyone that is in need, they may be elderly, homebound, etc., that could benefit from this program, they're urged to call 623-9321. Once again, that's 623-9321. And also, I believe Chief Davis had shared with you a little bit of the promotional materials that's going out on a firefighter recruitment seminar that is to be held March 15th at 6 p.m. at Central Fire Station. So that's for men and women between the ages of 21 and 35. They are encouraged to attend, learn more about a career with the Hot Springs Fire Department, and you'll see some of the promotional materials. I know the Public Information Department has worked well with the fire chief and done a really great job to put those promotional materials out there. So John and Terry, big kudos to them. And obviously, last but not least, we came upon the 2-year anniversary of the Majestic Fire, which was on Saturday, so February 27th. It's been two long years. However, we're happy to report we're a little over 90% complete with the debris removal. They've removed about 4,000 tons of debris. Right now, we're working to work on the grading and the site plan to ensure that we don't have any type of indentions that will obviously allow for to hold water, etc. Also, the city was awarded, is partnered with ADEQ for a Phase 2, which is a comprehensive site assessment. So we're working on scheduling that with the Majestic Yellow Brick, which obviously that is boring holes, taking tests, etc., to ensure that the ground itself does not have any hazardous materials or contaminants. And we'll be working on that in the coming weeks. But that project has come a long way. We've had a really great contractor with Spiritus Wrecking Company of St. Louis. They've been on the job just over a month, and they've really performed well. And we're happy to report that project is moving toward completion. We expect that to happen probably within the next 10 to 12 days.
Great.
That's my report.
Great. This is not on the agenda, but as I'm sitting here looking at Lance, my thoughts went back to Lance Hudnall, who was here for many, many years, and Doris was airlifted to Baylor for a lung transplant, and she's doing well. She's recovering. The surgery, the transplant went well, but I think she has to be there. I had all that written down somewhere, but I think she has to be there for quite a while in the hospital. But we do want to keep Lance Hudnall and Doris in our prayers as she's recovering from that. Lance sitting in that seat reminded me of Lance. So just remember to keep them in your prayers. Maybe send some cards to, I think she has to be there a while.
Yes.
About 5 weeks.
5 weeks. Okay. The next item of business is the consideration of the consent agenda. Items in this section are of a routine nature and will be considered as one item of business without discussion. I will now entertain a motion to adopt the consent agenda.
So moved.
Second.
We have a motion and a second. Would you please call the roll?
Folly,
Aye.
Davidson,
Aye.
Jones,
Aye.
Clark,
Aye.
Williams,
Aye.
Ramick,
Aye.
Carney.
Aye. It is adopted. And the next item of business is a public hearing regarding the possible vacation of a certain street right-of-way located along Garrett Street. I hereby call the public hearing to order, and we have staff. Would that be you, Lance?
Yeah, I
To
can.
address this? Okay.
Can introduce the item. Thank you, Mayor. The applicants are Mr. and Mrs. Peterson and Miss Sarah Steed. They are all the property owners along that particular area there. That's about 192 feet long by approximately 40 feet wide. They made application back in December of 2015 to request street vacation for this particular right-of-way. We have ran this through all the city departments, the outside public utilities, cable company, gas company, electrics, etc. No one had an issue with this particular street vacation. The area that they're wishing to vacate has not been used in over 5 years. It's actually a pretty grown-up area. It doesn't actually go all the way through to Panama either, and all the notices have been placed in the paper, and we have received no ill comments from the public for this particular street vacation. And I did also forward you, the board, the email from Mr. Peterson. His wife is actually ill, so he will not be able to attend. But he did wish to pass on that he would hope that this particular vacation would be approved so that he can limit the access and some of the nuisance folks that are coming through that particular area.
Okay. And I don't think we had anyone signed up for that, so the public hearing was what we just heard. Do you have any comments, anything? Any board?
For the benefit of the public, can somebody explain what it really means to vacate a piece of property and what happens with that piece of property, please?
Sure. This is a right-of-way that was dedicated when the subdivision was originally platted, and so it was dedicated to the public, which means, in this case, the city. It only becomes a street once the city accepts it and then begins to maintain it. The city has never accepted this portion, but yet it's still dedicated to the public. A vacation process is one by which the city is giving, on behalf of its citizenry, is giving up the rights to this right-of-way. And when that occurs, the property line then changes to the center of what used to be the right-of-way, and each property owner on each side of that formerly existing right-of-way becomes the owner to the center line. So they meet.
Okay, thank you.
And everyone was in agreement that has those properties.
Yeah,
Okay.
that's correct.
I have a comment from a member of that community, but I'll just reserve it until we come up for a vote on this.
Okay.
And it's supported.
Okay. Then our public hearing, unless somebody out there has something they want to say about this vacation. Anyone? Okay. Our public hearing is now closed.
For what?
Okay. The next item of business is consideration of a water connection request located at 2531 East Grand Avenue made by Wilson Home Improvement Company. Do we have...
Mayor, I believe we can hear from Mr. Carnahan. He can give you the lead-in on what's transpired up to this point, and then I'm sure the applicant is wanting to speak to you as well.
Okay.
Thank you. Again, at 2531 East Grand Avenue, which is approximately across the highway from the Cutter Morningstar School, to give you a feel for where that is. It's outside the city limits by about 3/4 of a mile, and the applicant submitted a request for a water connection. They are building a 15,000 square foot metal building to support a warehouse to store stock and items for home installations there. They intend to add 4 new jobs into the area, working out of that warehouse, and it will have restrooms and a small office in the warehouse. So that's why they need water. They intend to use, they have a large property there. I don't know exactly what size it is, but multiple acre size property you can see on your map. And so they have plenty of room to install a septic tank system for wastewater disposal. So they're asking for a water connection. There is a water main on the north side of the property, not on East Grand per se, but on the north side of the property on the other street. And so, but our policy outside the city is just for single-family owner-occupied homes. So it didn't fit it within the policy, and I denied the request. And so they're here tonight, I think, to ask you to appeal that decision and grant the water connection.
Gary, is this just one meter that's being
Yes.
asked? Okay.
Yes.
What size? Is this a routine?
I think my understanding, I believe, is that it's just a standard residential size meter because the facilities inside the warehouse are just 2 restrooms and an office.
So no extension of a main, just a service
No
line?
main required. Okay. There'll be a long service line, but it'll be on their property, and that'll be their private service line.
Okay. Thank you. And we have 2 people signed
Okay.
up. We may ask you questions later. Matthew Breckenridge.
Hi, I'm Matthew Breckenridge with B&F Engineering, 928 Airport Road. Mr. Carnahan did a good job explaining, and I'm here to answer any technical questions that you may have. We're just wanting to make a tap to the water main that fronts our property and set 1 meter to serve his and hers restroom, along with the office.
Is this a 6-inch main?
Yes, sir.
You want to tap, and then you're coming off with a 5/8
Yes,
meter
sir.
in line? Okay.
Do you have any other questions for Mr. Breckenridge?
I do. A couple. I'd understood that originally you were going to put a well on the property. What changed your mind?
Good question. At first, they thought about doing a well, but it was cost prohibitive, I guess you'd say. And they thought they'd have better service since they had to run such a longer line to the facility and where the facility was going to be placed, that a connection to the publicly maintained facilities would help with the hydraulics and the flows.
When was this land purchased? For this?
Middle of 2015, I believe.
Okay. Thank you.
Okay.
Have you had any discussions with the Morningstar Fire Department regarding the setting of a fire plug there?
No, sir, not yet.
Where is this work being done now?
Where's the work being done?
That's going to move to this.
The work is, I believe, done at their existing facility, and they're getting this facility for expansion. But Mr. Wilson's here. He can answer that question better than I could.
Thanks.
Okay. Any other questions for Matthew? Okay, thank you so
Thank
much
you so
for
much.
coming. We have Paul Wilson.
Yes, I'm Paul Wilson. I'm the owner of the property and also going to be the owner of the building once we get it installed. I want to thank you guys for your time and your consideration. And Matt, they've pretty much told you guys the plans. And if you guys have any questions for me, I'll be willing to answer them or try to. I might be able to answer your question. The facility that we're using now, we've outgrown it, and it wasn't cost prohibitive to add to the property that we're on now, because if we built this facility adjacent to our existing building, it would make us upgrade that whole entire building with parking, interior sprinkler systems, and so on and so forth. So it was just not cost prohibitive. And we're in a position to grow this thing to like a $4 or $5 million a year company in a few short years, but we can't do it where we're at now. And that's the purpose of building the larger facility.
So do you intend to move your operations to the new facility?
Not the home improvement company business. It will remain where it's at. We have a facility in the back half of that property or that building where we're doing business now as Spa City Distribution, selling product. And we're going to take that and move it into the larger building for future growth.
I don't
But your
understand
offices-
which larger building.
The new one on the property that we're talking about.
So
Your
you are
current-
The
moving
building's not
business.
built yet. We're doing the dirt work. We ordered the building about 6 months from having the building completed, and we're just trying to get water in line so that we've got it. by the time
And
we
it's just a
finish.
warehouse, right?
Yeah, it's a distribution center. Yes,
So that
It's-
when you have the jobs, that's where you go to pick up the
exactly.
truck
They
and
come in on tractor trailer loads, and we send them out and pick up truckloads.
Mr. Wilson, so this location will not have anything to do with your improvement?
Absolutely not.
Is it retail?
Yes.
What was your question, B?
Is it retail? So it's more. It's not just a distribution center. You collect sales tax at that location on the products that you sell from that location.
Yes. It's a distribution. I mean, we actually sell right now. Wilson's Home Improvement is carrying probably about 75% of the volume, and we plan to grow to sell to the rest of the people. And I went brain dead. What was the question that you just asked? I'm sorry.
Whether it was retail.
Oh, yes. Absolutely. It's a retail store. I mean, it's a distribution. It's a large warehouse with an office, and it's an entity in itself, and it sells to the public and to Wilson's Home Improvement Company.
Okay, I guess that's where I'm getting confused. You call it a distribution center, which in my mind is a warehouse that gets distributed out to retail outlets. But you're saying this is
Okay,
the
I apologize.
This is the retail location.
Yes.
Just curious, did you consider any locations within the city that already had water?
The property that I own now, we considered, give some consideration. Like I said, it just wasn't practical to do.
Any other questions?
You don't see the need to set other meters. You think you can get by with just the 1 meter residential size meter for your restrooms? That's basically the only reason you need it.
Yeah, absolutely. We're going to have 2 restrooms now. We are going to have a little small break room, and it will have a small sink in it that wasn't mentioned.
Any other questions? Okay, thank you. Appreciate it.
Thank you guys for your time.
Okay. Now, Board of Directors discussion.
Well, since I've been on this board, which is now 14 months, this is the 3rd appeal from a commercial business for extension of water to come before the board. The 2 previous 2 were small businesses. This is a small business capable of creating a few jobs. We approved both of those requests. both like this and also like this one, are within our 1 mile planning area. I see no, and plus, the other two, we also had water there already. So I see no reason why we shouldn't go ahead and grant this appeal tonight.
Are you making a motion? Is that a
Yes,
motion?
ma'am, I will make a motion that we adopt this resolution, and grant the appeal.
Okay.
There's actually not a resolution, but we do have a motion to grant the request.
A request, I'm sorry.
Grant
the
the
request. I looked down.
No
Just
problem.
to grant, but my motion, as corrected, is to grant the request for this water connection for Wilson's Home Improvement.
Okay, do we have a second? Do we have a second for the
I'll second.
request? Okay, we have a motion and a second to grant the request.
So discussion on that motion.
And discussion on the motion. Any discussion on the motion? Okay, I'm agreeing with you that the water line's there and it's their expense to connect 2 bathrooms, and it's not going to really affect our water supply that
Well,
much.
I would add the water usage appears to be very minimal.
Okay.
I just have a question. At what point do we relook at our existing policy? Right now, we've charged staff with making these decisions, and we have, if we're consistent in one thing, we've overridden them. And I think it calls for consideration of the policy itself to say, okay, are we going to just do this within our planning area? When we were talking about the water issue, we had posited an agreement that would have included the planning area, and it was rejected. And so, I mean, we really have put our staff in a bind. We have a policy that we don't honor, we don't back our staff, and I think it's time that we do, or change the policy.
Well, and this has become a case-by-case basis because all of them are different usually, but these last 3 have been pretty much the exact same request for 1 water line and a bathroom. It's not been a whole lot of anything, so maybe we should consider changing our policy to be more user-friendly. So,
Well, I don't know if it's user-friendly. I think it's consistency. That's really where I'm looking at.
well, the users who are there. Okay, we have a motion and a second. Any other discussion?
Well, clarification, is it in the planning area or is it not?
It's in the
It
one.
is. It's within the 1 mile
And
area.
the policy that was sent to us said that we can agree to allow these to do that on a case-by-case basis.
Well,
No. No.
there was no policy that was
The email that we
sent
got.
to you. The board has established a policy. There was a proposed joint resolution that was crafted that the mayor and I presented to the county judge, and that was never discussed. We were
One
we-
yesterday?
Was denied. No, this is
Oh man, this was a few months ago.
months ago. They denied it.
But your policy on matters of this sort, when it is less than 20 residential equivalents, is for staff to make the decision. The board is the supreme legislative and executive body of the city of Hot Springs, and so those policy decisions that are made at the city manager or designee level come to you as a matter of appeal. If this were 20 or more residential equivalents, like your next agenda item, those come directly to the board for your consideration. That is the existing policy.
And when we made that policy and took it to county, can we not adopt a policy that wasn't accepted by the county, but can we have our own, maybe revise the policy we have
Mayor, the policy.
according to that policy that we
The
presented?
policy is the purview of the board. You can establish whatever policy that you think is in the best interest of the city of Hot Springs.
And the point was to preserve our limited water supply, which is still the point.
Well,
in my opinion.
to protect our existing customers, which include the county customers as well. I mean, that's really our whole goal, is to protect the customers that we have until we get more water.
And so,
And
as
I
you
mean,
said, those are county customers also, because we do service the county.
I understand that. And they are our customers, and we're trying to protect our customers by preserving our water source. So,
And if,
Well, I would say I don't think we've been necessarily overwhelmed with appeals. And again, I know, with the exception of Director Ramick and I, who came on January of last year, we've only had 3 appeals, and they've all been small businesses, and they've all been local businesses. You know, I might have a different attitude if Mr. Wilson was an out-of-town business, but he's now been in business here for over 10 years and has an established business. And so we would be inconsistent, I think, too, if we were denied this, because we've already approved 2 other very similar ones. In fact, the first one was in that area over on
Spring Street.
Spring Street, yes. And it also was a storage facility, just not as big.
well, and perhaps these are coming to us because we changed our policy that one time.
can I move to table the motion until we reconsider the policy? Is that in order?
Is there a
No,
second?
we have a motion and a second to accept this, so that's where we are right now. So,
Okay, then I'll make a motion that we table this request until we have reviewed our policy and decided to change it or not.
but we're in the middle of a motion and a second.
Motion to table
accept it.
takes precedent over the motion on the floor, but there has to be a second.
Oh,
I'm confused.
What, say that again? What?
I'm
He's made a motion.
confused.
He's made a motion to table, but there's not is there a second?
Second.
So can you do a table with an open motion?
Table takes precedent over the motion that's on the floor.
okay. Would you call the roll on the tabling?
Tabling.
I just learned something new.
Davidson,
Aye.
Jones,
Aye.
Clark,
Aye.
Williams,
No.
Ramick,
Aye.
Foley,
Aye.
Carney.
No. Okay, it's tabled. May I ask a question to Mr. Wilson, though? Is there a time element on this that you're dealing with? Timing? Okay, within 6 months. So when it's tabled, how long do we,
He didn't
until we
say.
decide?
Director Foley, did you have a period that you wanted this tabled?
For 1 month.
1 month? Okay.
Yeah,
what-
your motion spoke to tabling it until you have considered the policy.
That's correct.
So I take it that that's a request to also bring
Add it to
a
the-
discussion to
Yes.
you for
Nice.
the policy.
And I'm wondering if we can have a work session for the
Yeah,
board
I
to
was just-
just talk about the pros and the cons. I mean, I apologize to Director Williams and Director Ramick for sidestepping the vote on this, but I think that the board itself has put itself in a position of directing staff yet countermanding, putting itself in a position of approving yet possibly discriminating if others from out of town come in with the same kinds of credentials. And until we get consistency, I'm fearful that what we are doing is not just to the public that we serve, nor to the customers that we're trying to protect.
Well, it seems a whole lot more logical to make that decision to have a work session after we deal with one that's before us, because he's come before us, they put all this together, they have everything in order, they've done everything they've been asked to do. So if we would, after this, whether we accept it or reject it, after that, we would have time before another appeal would come to us, but it wouldn't leave somebody sitting out there that's done everything we've asked them to do.
Well, Mayor, the
Well-
alternative is to reject it, approve it or reject it, and I would support a rejection of it. And I don't really want to do that until we have had some dialogue to see if there is a way to find a compromise to serve our community, still protect our customers. And that's my reason for the tabling of the motion.
Well, I agree with Director Williams. This is within the 1 mile planning area. Mr. Wilson has a local business here that helps our economy. But I also agree with Director Foley that we probably need to look at this and, if we're going to change our policy, we need to do that. I don't have a problem with giving a man, 2 restrooms and a kitchen sink. That's not it. But again, we need to review our policy that Director Williams and I weren't involved in. But I would like to look at it. And I think Mr. Wilson said he needs to have it within 6 months, and I think we'll be able to accommodate him on that.
But all I'm saying is, we're leaving him sitting there when we could do the whole review of it tomorrow morning or
We've already
next
tabled
week.
this,
I know
believe,
you have.
haven't we?
I'm just talking. It's okay. All right. I'm just saying what I think. All right. Okay. The next item of business is to consider resolution number R. Is this it? 16.
15, Mayor.
Did you tell him what just
Okay,
happened?
I skipped one. Is to consider consideration of a wastewater connection policy request located at 329 Amity Road, made by the Ridges of Lake Hamilton. Okay. Do you have that one, Lance? The request for Mr. Carnahan?
I'll give you an introduction to this one also. This is a request for a 48-unit for water and sewer connections for a 48-unit apartment community on Amity Road, which has 48 units, 98 bedrooms, 86 bathrooms. It was it's on a 5.36 acre tract. The history of this is that there was, in 2003, an approval by the city board and by the Arkansas Department of Health for them to build phase 1 and phase 2 of this project called the Ridge at Lake Hamilton. The health department letter always is for 1 year. The projects to be completed be under construction and completed within 1 year, and our city approval generally follow that. We can't let something be approved unless the health department has approved it. So the developer built the first phase, but not the second phase, in 2003. Since then, there hasn't been any other work on the project. Our city policy allows, the water and wastewater connection policy allows for approval of subdivisions in progress, which is defined as something that is a phased subdivision if the work has continued uninterrupted. An example, if you're familiar with the Hamilton Park subdivision out on Amity Road, or on, not Amity Road, but Marion Anderson Road, had 4 phases. When we implemented this policy, they had finished 1.5 phases, and we've continued to, and they kept building, and so we've gone through all 4 phases with them of that development because it was a continual activity. In this case, the work was completed in 2003, and there has not been any other work there since that time. So now the staff has not acted on this at all. They made an application to the staff, but it's beyond the 20-unit mark that we have, that the city manager has authority to act on, and so that's why it's just coming directly to you tonight for consideration.
Okay. Okay, we have, is it signed up? R.B. Smith.
I forgot to mention that in this particular case, the water and sewer mains will have to be extended further into this additional 5 acres of land. The water and sewer facilities were built in the initial 6-acre tract for those buildings, but they would have to have extensions of the water and sewer mains to reach into the new phase 2 tract. Okay. Thank you.
Mr. Smith.
Thank you, ladies and gentlemen, Mr. Mayor. My name is R.B. Smith. I'm the owner with Keith Richardson of Rich Smith Development. I think that was explained to you. I'm following the last fellow, which I would like to vote yes for Mr. Wilson. But this project is actually, I think, it was completed in 2005. We did have approval for both phases. At the time, we didn't feel like the second phase, we needed to build it at the time. We have about $30 million worth of investments here in Hot Springs, so it's not like we're new to the city. And I heard the dialogue and the debate going on there just a moment ago, but we will run the line. The line's already ran back to that second phase to tie in. Before, it was approved for 96 units on the first phase, 96 units on the back phase. We're only asking for 2 buildings, 48 units. I understand the debate going on, but that's what our request is. I'll be more than happy to answer questions.
Okay, during that time from 2003 till now, have you built other units in the city of Hot Springs?
Yes, ma'am. The point in Hot Springs is ours, the Peaks is ours right next to it. And ironically enough, that was actually in the county, and we were asked by this council and the mayor at the time to annex that in, which we did.
So you invested how much in those two?
Well, we have a little over $30 million invested here.
In the city?
Yes, ma'am.
Is the same type apartment building?
We have affordable, and we have the Points upscale resort living.
So you continued to invest in our community from 2003. When did you build the other buildings in the city?
Well, I don't know the exact timeline. I think the Ridge was our first one. It was built, probably completed in 2004, 2005. And then I think the Point's been open for about 5 or 6 years. The Peaks was right around the same time. So in the last, probably 2010, 9, 10, 11, something like that, was our last build here. And we've looked at a lot of historic buildings to rehab. We've talked to city officials and the fire marshal about rehabbing some buildings downtown. So we continue to try to work and develop things here. So Hot Springs have been very good to us, and we enjoy our relationship here.
So it wasn't that you just stopped building in 2003. You just changed locations and kept going.
We did. We changed locations, and again, that was approved. And I understand what he's saying. He's right. The health department usually lasts for 1 year, but usually when you get it approved by a city, it kind of gets grandfathered in. You go back for health approval. But the lines again are run. We would run our own lines of the water and sewer there. So it went from 96 down to 48 units.
48 units. But altogether, how many units do you have in Hot Springs with the other buildings?
Well, somewhere close to about 450, something like that.
Of affordable housing?
Yeah. Mm-hmm. That we either own all of or some of them.
So it wasn't that you just stopped?
No, ma'am. No,
and you've developed our city very well.
Yeah,
I want to thank you for that.
Yes, ma'am.
Okay. Any questions for Mr. Smith?
You took mine.
Mr. Smith, I drove out to that location Sunday, and this is not necessarily related to your request. I see you have high occupancy out there, but beyond Building F, there's a field that has old couches, recliners, and mattresses just laying there, probably over 50. Whose property is that on?
Would that be east or west of that?
Well, in the development, there's a Building F, and you know which building I'm talking about?
I do. Well, I think I do. Yeah.
And just beyond there's just an open field that's got all that old furniture out there.
We have land back there, but I'd have to see where that furniture is, because if that was, we would not allow that if that was ours, and if it is, we would clean it up. But I don't know if that's ours or if it's the neighbors next to it.
I used to be county judge, and if I was,
you were still county judge.
If I was still county judge, I'd say that stuff belongs at the landfill.
Yeah, I 100% agree with you. Yeah, sure.
So anyway, I was just asking, because it's also unsafe for the children that
absolutely. And we will, I don't know that that's ours, but whatever it is, I'll find out whose it is and see if we can't get it moved. But if it's ours, I'll certainly have it moved, or if it's on land that we own.
Okay.
Sure, absolutely.
Thank you.
Yes, sir.
I've gotten some real good furniture out of people moving out of apartments.
This is probably not what you'd want.
Yeah.
No, this is not covered. It's just sitting out in the open.
Sure. Yes, sir. Yeah.
Okay. Any other discussion? Any questions? Thank you, Mr. Smith, for coming.
Thank you very much for your time. Thank you.
Do you have any? I would entertain a motion to approve the request.
Well, I'll do that.
Okay. Thank you.
I'll make a motion that we entertain the request.
Do we have a second? We're talking about economic development and affordable housing, and we're talking about our community.
Now I'm confused. We just,
Where, you need to know where this is.
yeah.
It's considerably further.
It's Amity Road, where they already have apartment buildings built. It's an extension of what they intended to do, but went to other locations and built other apartments and annexed into the city at those times. I'm sure that they'd be willing to annex this if you were contiguous to.
Because it's not in the city, right?
Well,
No.
it's over a mile.
Yeah, it's over a mile.
It's not within the 1 mile planning. I have some concerns about the project. I just thought we should go ahead and dispose of it tonight. Because this is a different policy. This one is one that comes directly to us.
It does.
This one doesn't go to the staff. This comes directly to us. So
Okay.
that's my only reason
That's
for
what
making a
I thought I
motion.
heard.
If there is no second of the motion, I'll make a motion we deny the request.
Is there a second to the motion, that we deny the request?
Second.
Would you please call the roll?
I'm confused.
Well,
Oh.
if are you confused, Director Jones?
Yes.
The request was for a connection outside the city limits
Okay.
and outside the planning area. There was a motion to approve it, and it did not get a second. And I made a motion to deny it, and there was a second. And that's what we're voting on.
And Mr. Canahan said that it was up to us tonight, not staff.
Right.
Correct.
And
So,
this was approved by the city in 2003. The time limit has ended, but it was approved with all of the information given to the city at that time that was necessary.
Before the water
And they
policy.
will run all the lines at their expense, not at city expense.
Before the water policy
Before
was
the
put
water
into place.
policy.
For the policy. But he has all of the documents with him that it was approved.
Mr. Carnahan, how far outside the city limits is this, roughly?
Probably about a mile.
Yeah, I would
Two,
say a
mile three.
mile and a quarter, mile and a half. It's beyond the planning area boundary. By the way, the planning area boundary, let me just say, is not always a mile. And especially on the opposite side of the lake, the boundary was drawn tightly along the lake shore so that city would have some control over development on the lake itself to protect the water quality of the lake, but the city didn't push it out much further than that. They could have pushed it out further than they did, but they felt like as long as we protect the lake, that's our main purpose in drawing this boundary line. So the 1 mile term is a good general term, but on the north side of town, for instance, it's 0. The planning area boundary just follows the city limits. So it's not always 1 mile.
okay.
So it's quite a ways beyond the planning boundary, but it's not a lot more than a mile out there to that location. If that makes sense.
Thank you.
Yeah.
Mayor, I plan to abstain on this vote, and the reason for that is not being familiar with the files dating back to 2002, again referring to my old job. It may be that at one point in time I actually wrote a letter in support of the project. So if I did that, I don't want to sit here tonight and deny it. So, and I'm not privy to those files, so I will abstain.
It's a different time and a different place.
Yeah, but we do need to remember that
Well, I can
they are
vote however I want,
constantly
Director Jones.
they are constantly developing our city, and they have done a great job, millions of dollars invested. And for us to say, stop that is really, on property they already own that at one time, not with us, but we hang on to things other boards have done, like the math and science building. We hang on to things like the Majestic, things that other boards have done. And now we're hanging on to one that's going to be developed, that we know it's going to be developed in a first-class way. I think even our David Watkins lived in those apartments. Did you live in them at one time?
No, David lived in
David
the peak,
lived in them?
In the peaks.
And Mr. Fram lived in them. I'm saying this is a development of economic development that we are six people saying, no, you cannot develop our city anymore. You've got 450 units in our city. You brought millions of dollars in. You're providing affordable housing for our community. I'm on boards that are looking for affordable housing. And just as Mr. Williams said, they're packed out. They're full. These buildings are not standing empty. I just don't understand the logic and the reason just because we can say no, just because we have that power. I think there's not a lot of thought going into this. I think to tell a company that's doing what they're doing for our community is wrong. To tell them no, I think it's just wrong. That's my spiel.
So, Director,
call for the question.
Yes.
That will never come back to us. This is the end of it.
Correct. Well, at least for 6 months.
And they can't do that because this was time sensitive, and that's why they brought it to us. The funding for it is March the 4th. Is that correct, Mr. Smith?
It's for tax credits.
For funding.
I'm sorry. The application deadline is March the 8th for the application.
March the 8th. And that's why it's before us in an emergency manner, because they didn't have other time left for the funding that probably Larry Williams wrote for and gave the letter, which was asked for me to write.
I don't know that I did, but I suspicion that I might have, and that is a long time ago. Mm-hmm. I can't remember every letter I ever signed or wrote in behalf of a project, but, anyway.
Well,
Brian,
yes.
you may want to explain the motion.
Yeah, you want to explain the motion? Tell us what
We
have two on the table or one.
No, you have one. You have one on the floor. The motion on the floor is to deny the applicant's request for extension of water and sewer mains at the designated project. That's the motion. That's the second. That's what we're having discussion upon right now.
Okay.
To vote aye would be to deny.
To vote aye would be to be in favor of the motion to deny. This is why we usually do things in the affirmative. To vote aye would be to deny. To vote no would be to not deny. It's not to approve, because this is a motion that's in the negative.
And then if
the motion fails, then
we can continue on.
We can sit here and discuss it a little longer until somebody wants to table it or make another motion.
Okay, we have a motion and a second to deny the economic development that this would provide.
That is not the motion, Mayor.
Yeah, it is.
No, it isn't.
It is not the motion, and I would respectfully disagree and ask you to quit editorializing on my motion.
Okay.
Thank you.
All right.
What's the motion?
The motion is to deny the request.
That's not what he said.
Yes.
Okay. Would you please call the roll?
Clark,
Aye.
Williams,
Abstain.
Ramage,
Aye.
Foley,
Aye.
Davidson,
Aye.
Jones,
Aye.
Carney.
No. It failed, and I'm extremely sorry. Okay. The next item of business
It's policy.
is to consider Resolution R 1641.
Yes, ma'am.
Would you please read the resolution by title?
Resolution R 1641, a resolution authorizing the development and advertising of abatement and demolition services requests for proposals at 100 Park Avenue, Majestic Hotel, Red Brick, and Lanai Towers and Suites sections. That concludes your reading, Mayor. If now entertain a motion second to adopt and have discussion, if any.
Okay. Do we have a motion to adopt?
So moved.
And a second.
Second.
And discussion is from,
I'll handle this one, Mayor. Thank you. On the heels of the report updating you all on the Majestic Yellow Brick project as it's moving forward, this item comes to the board requesting authorization from the board to develop and advertise a request for proposals. That'll be for the abatement and the essentially the resulting demolition of the remaining structures there. And I think, Leslie, I do have a aerial on the buildings we're actually talking about. This is the Majestic Red Brick, the Lanai Tower and Suites. This is an item that we would like to have the authorization to develop this RFP. And as you can see, the structure, the aerial image there does give you a little idea as how the site lays out, which probably most of you are very, very familiar with. The Hot Springs Fire Department, I guess in last June, prior to the board's purchase, the purchase of the entire property, the fire marshal and Hot Springs Fire Chief did go through those structures and essentially wrote over 380 violations of the fire prevention code. And I guess on February 22nd, our fire chief and fire marshal also went through the building, which those images were also within your packet. And Fire Chief Ed Davis is here if you'd like to have any further information on the condition of the building. Obviously, the citations that were written back in June of 2015, the condition itself has obviously not gotten any better. The intrusion of water is causing numerous issues within the building itself, but also you'll notice the masonry front, the facade of the building has actually come away from the red brick, and on the back side you have very similar problems with the masonry joints having water intrusion. And the board also has condemned the entire site. You did the yellow brick first, obviously, because it was subject to a fire and partial demolition. The remaining property, which checks in just over 5 acres, was also condemned by Resolution 8657, and that was done in mid-2015. So the staff is wishing to develop this RFP to essentially do the abatement and the demolition for those structures. And this one will be done relatively similar to the yellow brick project. However, this one will have many more known factors associated with it, whereas the yellow brick was a burned, partially demolished building. This one will be able to have a much more thorough, effective abatement of the asbestos, lead, paint, etc., and the resulting demolition for the structure. Those costs will be known up front. That's why we're requesting that the project be done as an entire package, whereby as we move through the project, those costs are fully developed, and we go into it knowing the prices that we're dealing with. That was not necessarily the case with yellow brick. So, and I know some of the board members have requested that we write the RFP in a manner so that we can salvage any of the historical portions of the building that have obviously a much desire to the community, so that whatever does happen to come there on that site at a later date, that those portions of the building are able to be reused in that in some type of capacity.
All right, any questions? We don't have anyone signed up. Any discussion by the directors?
Well, I don't want to see our momentum stopped at this point with all the work that's been done on the yellow brick building. So I'd like to make a motion to adopt Resolution R1641.
Do I have a second?
Second. It's already on the floor.
Oh, it's already on the floor. Yes.
Oh, sorry.
It's on the floor. It's discussion time. Is there any other comment?
Mayor,
or discussion?
I would just add that obviously if there's an attractive proposal that comes out of this, that will come to the board for your separate consideration. This is a little bit out of the ordinary. Typically, staff does not come to the board to ask for your permission to solicit RFPs. But this is something of great community concern and something that this board has certainly taken the lead on. And the staff wanted to include you in this process, get your direction in which way to go.
Yes. Okay.
I do have one question. Lance, have you had any concerns about this, letting this proposal from anyone who doesn't want?
No, actually we haven't received any negative comments for this particular proposal.
Thank you.
Okay. Would you please call the roll?
Ravick.
Aye.
Foley.
Aye.
Sorry. Davidson.
Aye.
Jones.
Aye.
Clark.
Aye.
Williams.
Aye.
And Carney.
Aye. It is
Sorry.
adopted.
All I can say, Mayor, is I'm glad Leslie's the one taking minutes, because I don't know that anyone else would understand her.
Oh, goodness.
The next item of business is to consider resolution number R1642. Council, would you please read the resolution by title?
Resolution R1642, a resolution authorizing the purchase of certain vehicles pursuant to the State of Arkansas Cooperative Purchasing Program. That concludes your reading, Mayor. Now I entertain a motion second to adopt and have discussion, if any.
Doretha. Do I have a motion to adopt?
So move.
Is there a second?
Second.
And Doretha is with us.
Thank you, Mayor. This may be the most straightforward resolution you guys have tonight. This is, purpose of this resolution is to request your approval to purchase 25 vehicles off the state contract. These vehicles were all approved in your 2016 budget, and your packet had detailed information on each one of these vehicles. Total price, $623,247. I'd be glad to give you any other information you'd like to know.
Since you made that remark, what type, color, and weight are these vehicles?
Wait just a minute.
I'm just being facetious,
Okay.
Mayor.
Being funny.
She said,
Second, let me go through these 77 pages.
I'm just kidding. I have no desire to know that information.
It was there. I think you could read it.
I've already shut my screen off.
Okay.
Teresa, these for various departments?
Yes. 12 of these vehicles are for the police department. And of those 12, 10 are Ford Interceptors, taking the place of the Tahoes, and then 2 are unmarked Ford Tauruses. There's 2 vehicles for planning, 1 for traffic, 1 for engineering, 1 for parks and trails, 1 for information systems, 3 for MCO, 1 for intercity transit, 1 for fire, and 2 for utility administration.
Thank you.
And if you don't mind, I'd like for Greg to come up here a minute because I asked him a couple of questions. We may come back to you, Doretha.
Okay.
Thank you. You're the man that does all the in-between stuff. I had a few questions today, and I thought maybe other people would like to know.
Sure.
When I was reading through the packet, there's some cars on there that, especially one, I guess, that had less mileage than mine. I'm thinking, why are you getting rid of that? And you want to tell us, just to answer some of those questions that people, and then how many of those will be recycled in our governmental duties, or are there others that will just go on eBay or sell?
Most
Just
of the
an
vehicles
overview.
are replacements, so that we'll be selling the vehicles that are being replaced. There are a couple of them that we could use in other areas of departments that don't have vehicles, or if they bring their vehicle to us to be repaired, we can let them use just in the interim basis, while they're getting their vehicle repaired. So 95% of them are being replaced, so we'll be selling those vehicles. The vehicle that you mentioned has been a concern for ours for several years. It's 16 years old, and it does not have a lot of miles on it. It was one of those vehicles that we bought, and it just was a lemon. It was one that every time we took it out, it had problems. No one wanted to drive it, so...
So it's been in the garage for 16 years.
And Kathy and I spoke about it several years, and we decided that it's not going to be, doesn't have the ability to be used on a daily basis, and it's just sitting there deteriorating. So it's one that we need to get rid of, and she requested that it be replaced. So this year I said, well, we need to do something with it because it's not doing any good, just deteriorating.
What kind of vehicle is it?
It is a 2000 model Chevy Malibu.
It's actually out in the parking lot. I can speak to with riding with Kathy and Rick, looking at planning sites from time to time. Sometimes the air conditioning works, sometimes it doesn't. Sometimes the power steering makes a whining noise, etc. There's a reason why a lot of folks don't drive it. It is a lemon.
Every time they take it out, there's something that happens to it. So it's one of those that we're just throwing bad money after good.
And so most of the others, is it eBay that you use?
Yes, ma'am, and Gov Deals sometimes. Depends on the type of vehicle. We just sold a truck last week, and we had like 1,300 people look at it. So eBay's doing real well for us.
That's great. Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
Okay, thank you.
Thank you.
Sounds like that power steering problem's an idler pulley.
Okay.
We have a shade tree mechanic.
Yeah.
No, I had one replaced last week.
Okay, do we have any further discussion on the cars? Okay, hearing none, would you please call the roll?
Davidson. Aye. Jones.
Aye.
Clark.
Aye.
Williams.
Aye.
Ramick.
Aye.
Foley.
Aye.
Carney.
Aye. It is adopted. The next item of business is to consider ordinance number 01613. First of all, we entertain a motion to suspend the rules and read by title only.
So moved.
Have
Second.
a second.
Second.
Okay, we have a motion and a second. All in favor, please indicate by saying aye.
Aye.
Any opposed, please say no. Council, would you please read the ordinance by title?
Ordinance 01613, an ordinance vacating certain street right-of-way located along Garnett Street and for other purposes. That concludes your reading, Mayor. If you now entertain a motion second to adopt and have discussion, if any.
Okay, do we have a motion to adopt?
So moved.
Is there a second?
Second.
Okay, and discussion. Did anybody sign up for
What?
that one at all?
Yeah.
So you're our...
Yeah, I'll give you a
Okay.
quick overview again. This is the companion piece to the public hearing that you conducted at the beginning of the middle part of the meeting. This ordinance will approve the vacating of the street right-of-way, 192 feet long by 40 feet wide. This action was initiated, by the property owners, Mr. and Mrs. Peterson and Mrs. Sarah Steed. They are the property owners along that particular parcel there, and they wish to have that particular area vacated, whereby each portion will be cut in half, so that the property will be divided equally among the two property owners that are listed on that particular map that you see up there. So, with that,
There you go. Any questions?
Well, I just have a comment. This just goes to show you that the public does read the agenda in the paper. This is located in my district, and so the captain of the Neighborhood Watch group on Gladstone Street, which is in that area, contacted me. We had an exchange of emails about this. I sent him the information on the project. I'll just read from part of the last email I got from him, where he thanked me for a quick response and went on to say, I've asked about this in our neighborhood. I believe the proposal pertains to the dead end of Garnett Street, which could be joined with Panama. I have discussed it with some of my neighbors and have emailed the people in my neighborhood watch. I have invited their feedback. So far, there's been only strong support for the proposal and no opposition. Connecting Garnett with Panama has the potential to increase traffic in our neighborhood. And then he goes on to discuss some concerns about his neighborhood. So anyway, there's no opposition to the vacation within the neighborhood.
Okay. Any other comments, discussion? Would you please call the roll?
Williams.
Aye.
Ramick.
Aye.
Foley.
Aye.
Davidson.
Aye.
Jones.
Aye.
Clark.
Aye.
Carney.
Aye. It is adopted. The next item of business is to consider ordinance number 01614. First of all, I will entertain a motion to suspend the rules and read by title only.
So moved.
Second.
We have a motion and a second to suspend the rules. All in favor, please indicate by saying aye.
Aye.
Any opposed? Council, please read the ordinance by title.
Ordinance 01614, an ordinance waiving the requirements of competitive bidding for the procurement of certain sole source wastewater system equipment, air, sewer, camera kit, approving sole source supplier Atlas Inspection Technologies, and for other purposes. That concludes your reading, Mayor. If you'd now entertain a motion second to adopt and have discussion, if any.
Okay, do I have a motion to adopt?
So moved.
And a second.
Second.
And who will discuss? That's wastewater. Oh, there you are.
Mr. Ledbetter.
Thank you, Mayor and Council. This is one of our major pieces of equipment for our camera, for our inspections of our wastewater system. These are our eyes inside the system. So, and occasionally, due to the environment that we stick this camera in, it does break down. We have to send it in for repairs, and that normally takes 4 to 6 weeks for the repairs to happen. So, during that time, we don't have any eyes in there, so we just need to buy a backup camera and continue to keep this crew busy finding eye and eye. So,
Okay. Do you have any questions of Mr. Ledbetter? None? Okay. Any discussion? Hearing none, would you please call the roll?
Clark,
Aye.
Williams,
Aye.
Ramick,
Aye.
Foley,
Aye.
Davidson,
Aye.
Jones,
Aye.
Carney.
Aye. It is adopted. Okay. That concludes the business section of tonight's meeting. Are there any comments by the members of the board? Closing comments. Okay. We don't have anyone signed up for the public commentary, so we will skip that tonight. I would entertain a motion to
I
adjourn.
move that we adjourn, Mayor.
Okay, is there a second?
Second.
We have a motion and a second to adjourn. Adjourn. I did it just like that.
You talking like me?
All in
rubbing
favor,
off
please say
now.
aye.
Aye.
Any opposed, no. We are
Okay.
adjourned.
Time to go watch
Adjourned.
election.